morning, brothers and sisters. I would like to testify to give the glory and honor to our Lord. In prophecy, the Lord told me that He will be healing one of my loved ones. And it was so because He healed my mom. My mom was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And it wasn't until recently that she went to visit her OBGYN. It was there where they commenced giving her an ultrasound. And to her surprise, they found 9 fibroids. And collectively, they grew to the size of a 4-month-old pregnancy. They told her that she needed to take time to schedule a hysterectomy. Immediately. The only issue that she faced was that she had no money to receive the hysterectomy. But to her surprise, the Lord manifested. And it was then where I was filling out the paperwork over the phone for my mom. And on speaker, she heard that her insurance will cover 100% of the surgery. She does not attend the church, but in this duration of time, we praise the Lord. Other friends had been telling her about their experience because they too had that surgery. And they expressed that it went wrong and they had to stay weeks in the hospital. However, when my mom's surgery was complete, she only had to stay in the hospital for 3 days. It went perfectly, and she's healing and recovering quickly. And I would like to give the glory and honor to the Lord because He healed my mom.
Brothers and sisters, may the Lord bless you. I testify to give the honor and the glory to our Lord. The Lord in His holy prophecy a few months ago had spoken and said that I would be very ill, but to not worry, for He would heal me. And it was so, brothers and sisters, how last September my health deteriorated. It was then therefore needed that I go to the doctors. And they ordered a series of exams to be fulfilled, and it was diagnosed that I had chronic anemia. As the months passed on, things got worse. I couldn't tolerate the food. I had pain in my stomach, and I wasn't able to fulfill my work. I therefore asked the Lord greatly for my health, always trusting in His promises. And in various occasions, I had reached out to health services so that I could get the exams and colonoscopies in order to receive the medication that I needed. But the authorization was not possible for several months. And a few weeks ago, during the quarantine, I had needed to go to the hospital, for I was very sick. And the doctor there had ordered a series of exams, and they all came back great. And my anemia was not even detected in those exams. But the doctor said that he wanted to have more tests fulfilled and done, for I felt very sick and had an intense pain in the pit in my stomach. And in the evening, I prayed to the Lord and reminded Him all the promises that He had made through prophecy. And the doctor, in the meantime, had spoken with one of my children and said that he had asked for authorization of the health services in order to get a lung exam and a colonoscopy fulfilled. But he also said that in the case that it was not fulfilled through the health services, that I would need to reach out in another manner. But this would cost me a certain amount of money. I therefore, in the meantime, brothers and sisters, asked and prayed to the Lord that He fulfill His will. And on the following day, I had asked the nurse a question concerning one of the tests And she responded and said, "Don't worry," for health services had already authorized my colonoscopy to be done, and that my family members needed to be there the following day early, for the ambulance would pick us up to take us to another clinic to get it done. Brothers and sisters, once again I was able to see the fulfillment of the Lord, for with these tests that were done, they could determine what was going on with my health. And the test results came back and nothing was wrong with it. It was all positive. It was okay. And after some time, the doctors had said that I could go back home and rest and to proceed on with the medication that the doctors had provided. Brothers and sisters, everything occurs in the time of the Lord. Even during these times of coronavirus and quarantine, I never imagined that the blessing of the Lord would arrive in our lives. After months of insisting the Lord, He fulfilled and manifested Himself and utilized the means and the people in order to fulfill His will, and I've testified to give the honor and the glory to my Heavenly Father.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I would like to testify to give honor and glory to our God. I am from Argentina, currently living in Spain, as was the Lord's promise, and thanks to Him I was able to travel to Spain earlier this year. While in Argentina, I congregated in the province of Córdoba, and the Lord opened an employment door for me so that I could join a soccer team, and this was yet another promise that the Lord fulfilled in my life. But a few months after I arrived here in Spain, the pandemic began, and everyone went into a state of chaos. The team directors told us that they couldn't cover our expenses and that we should go back to our homes, and they gave us a deadline of towards the end of March. But because of this state of emergency, and because the airports and all borders were closed, we couldn't really leave. And so whenever I watched a Bible study conducted by Sister Marisa, I decided to start putting the doctrine that she was teaching us into practice, specifically how to pray to the Lord. And so when I prayed to the Lord, I started to explain the situation in detail, even mentioning the names of the directors of this soccer team, who were the ones who would approve budgets and give approvals on any expenses, including our wages. And so I exposed my situation to the Lord. And it was beautiful because the Lord spoke through her and told us that we shouldn't worry because He was going to bless us. And the very next day, two directors of the soccer team came to the very apartment where I live and told me that I shouldn't worry because they would continue to pay for my rent, for the rent of the apartment where I live. And they told me that they couldn't cover all my wages, but that they would give me enough to survive and everything, and to cover my expenses. And they said that they would do so until the end of May or start of June, more or less. And they have been paying for all my expenses even to this day. During that time, I felt a lot of peace and tranquility. I was holding fast unto the Lord, watching all the sermons. And just last week, I heard the bad news that the vice president of the team unfortunately passed away because of COVID-19. And immediately, the directors of the club reached out and said that the income of the club was going to be significantly reduced because he was a major investor of the team, and that they would have to make some decisions towards the end of May. So again, I prayed to the Lord and I asked Him to touch people's hearts. And I remembered the last prophecy I heard from Sister Marisa, which was for newcomers of the church. And even though I've been congregating in the church for 2 years, I took that prophecy as if it was for me, because the Lord spoke through Sister Marisa, and it was beautiful. And so the next day, again, the directors of the club literally came to my apartment and said to me, "Look, don't worry, stay over the summer. We're going to cover all your expenses. And the current coach is going to leave, but we have a new one who is coming in, and he wants to work with you. So we'd like to retain your services for 1 more year. And this was beautiful. It was beautiful to see how during such a difficult moment, the Lord in his endless mercy has blessed me so much. He has given me so much prosperity. He has been there. He has given me company. He has never abandoned me. And I prayed to the Lord, and I told him that I wanted to have a spiritual experience and that I wanted to feel his presence. And so the next day I had a dream. I had a dream in which I saw Sister Maria Luisa. I was at a home with the directors of the club, and Sister Maria Luisa came in and she laid hands on both of them. And then she told me to continue on forward. But then I saw a river coming towards the house. It was mighty, and it was getting bigger and bigger and deeper and deeper. And I said to Sister Maria, "Do you want to help you cross?" And she said to me, "No, don't worry. I can do it on my own." And I saw how she was able to cross the river all by herself. And when I woke up, I understood that it was the Lord who had been using these persons, touching their hearts to make sure that I lacked nothing. And brothers and sisters, I wanted to testify all this to give honor and glory to our God.
One of these nights, I have 2 special children. One is 16 years old and the girl is 13 years old. And that night, I went to sleep and my daughter started crying and crying very sadly. And I asked my daughter what was wrong. She told me that she was very sad. And she cried and cried. I couldn't comfort her. And I asked her, "What's wrong, sweetheart? Are you sick?" She said, "No, Mommy, I'm very sad. I'm very sad because I want a toy." And I said, "You want a toy?" She said, "Yes, Mommy, I want a toy." And she was very sad. And I told her, "How am I going to buy you a toy, sweetheart?" I said, "Let us pray to the Lord and let's ask him for a toy." And in the midst of her tears, she told the Lord that she was very sad, that she was sad because she wanted a toy. She was sad that she missed church, that she was very sad and cried. And after she expressed all her reasons to the Lord, I started praying to the Lord as well. And that night, we prayed to the Lord with much faith, and yes, a little bit sad, but with hope in the Lord. And that night, the Lord is so wonderful that I had a dream. I dreamed in which I was withdrawing money from an ATM. And I woke up and I said, "Withdrawing money from an ATM? Which ATM?" And I remembered that I had a card for many years with which the government paid subsidy to the children when they studied. And I said, "This is the only card I have. Maybe the Lord is showing me this, so I go and withdraw money." So I said, "Let us be obedient and let's act with faith." And the next day I went to the bank and I inserted the card in an ATM, and there was money for the glory of the Lord. And it filled me with so much joy. I bought my daughter a toy. I bought her a Lego set, and she was happy because she could build houses, airplanes, cars. It was beautiful how the Lord leads us through dreams, how he fulfills the desires of our hearts, and even more, those little children that are so pure of heart. We were able to buy also food for the house that was needed, and everything was for the glory of the Lord. And I testify all this for the glory and honor of the Lord.